All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com Hit the Ice Show. I'm Jake Hari alongside Steve Homercleese Bauer. Steve, how are you doing today for this four-game NHL slate?
I'm doing well. It's a good weekend. Had some fun. Looking forward to get back into the hockey right now for a
Yeah,
couple days at least.
the football savant. Uh,
Yeah. Apparently,
yeah,
uh,
was,
got pretty lucky yesterday, but I'll take that.
it's the was
Football
that a
hasn't been my main sport, so
was that a Bears stack that I see? Yeah,
yeah,
that was.
yeah. Bear stack running it back with some James White was pretty nice.
I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, just more money to blow on NHL or duplicate, I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly.
Duplicate. Um,
Yeah, it's funny. It happened on FanDuel. I've been having so much more success there this year.
Yeah, you're crushing FanDuel for NHL.
Yeah,
I guess
it's been.
before while we're waiting for some people to start trickling in, and I'll post this in our chat. But I think most people know by now we go live around 4 Eastern. But I don't know what contests look good for you. Have you looked at the contest? Have you looked at the contest today on either site? Where are you gonna have most of your action tonight?
Um, Yeah, I mean the contests don't look great, but I mean DraftKings has a couple. Maybe the $8, not too bad to dabble in. The rake's always pretty high on those ones. The higher stakes contests are much better for the rake, but obviously tougher competition. And I think FanDuel just runs pretty
Yeah,
standard contests every. They don't really change their sizing or anything like that. But they have a much flatter payout structure for the lower stake stuff, so I do kind of like that.
yeah. Um,
You don't have to bank. You can come second and third and still have a good night.
yeah. Speaking of that, actually, I forgot about this, but on Friday, I was in the top three for forever, and I needed like a couple block shots or shots on goal from Gaudreau and Giordano. And man, it's just such a difference. Like I finished tied for second, and the
Yeah.
top prize was 10K, and like it was a good night. I made some money, but I think I ended up splitting second, which was 3,500 apiece. So like
Yeah,
it
crazy
was
drop off, eh?
it was so like, and that was DraftKings though, so it's a little better
Yeah.
on FanDuel for the big MME tournaments. But man, uh, you really need some variance once you get up into the top 10 or so. So yeah,
Yeah,
those
it's
will,
it's a good sign that you're in the mix a lot, and then
right.
you kind of need everything to go your way for you to bank there. You need to get pretty lucky, especially when it comes to empty net goals and stuff like that at the end, right?
Oh, for
Or the
sure.
last extra shot block or shot on goal.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you really need things like the perfect storm to go your way to actually win one of those. So
yeah,
it's difficult. It's difficult, but as long as you're still in the mix, that's a good sign for sure.
right. Yeah, no, it felt good to be close.
Yeah.
So I was excited. I feel confident going into this slate, and hopefully we can talk through a few things. Not too many changes to talk about. Some line notes. I guess Washington's probably the biggest change with some of
Yep.
their line shuffling. Not really shuffling. They kept the core of the lines together, Backstrom, Oshie, and then Kuznetsov and Ovechkin, but just different third parts of those lines. So
Yeah. They rotated the wingers,
yeah,
right
and we
wingers.
actually have some data on those lines, which we can talk about when we get to that game.
Mhm.
So that's nice as well. Not just completely unfamiliar guys. Um, let's see how we're doing for people. Yeah, it's a four-game slate, so not gonna have a huge crowd. But if you guys have any questions, anything you want us to talk about in chat, uh, in the YouTube chat, just pop it in there. If not, you can go to our Slack chat if you're a premium member. Promo code hit the ice gets you a free 7-day trial to any Osmo.com non-fantasy cruncher NHL package. So you get access to my projections, Osmo's rankings, um, the news and notes article, and then the lineup builder that you see on the screen right now, which is pretty slick for hand building. I know a lot of you guys don't really MME that much. This is a really good tool, really good visual to use for hand building. And then you can get Fantasy Cruncher if you are a premium member for a discounted rate. Um, and if you're not a premium member, just become one so you can get into the Slack chat as well. You have access to myself and Steve pretty much all day. We tilt the games with you guys and we sweat with you guys. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, lineup builder is the goat. C column 80. I agree. So we're going to go through each game just like we usually do. We'll start with Colorado and Philadelphia. we have Varlamov against Elliott here. Looks like a 2.9 total for Colorado, 3.1 for Philadelphia. I'm not sure if we've talked since Philadelphia has changed up their top line, but it's Wayne Simmons, not Jacob Voracek, on the top line. Full power play correlation with both the top lines in these games, and those are probably going to be the main talking points. Do you think either of these two top lines are going to be super heavily owned? Colorado 1 is really expensive on FanDuel, I'm seeing, but also on DraftKings as well.
Yeah, I can still see them being popular based on what they've done lately. I mean, that line has 8 goals apiece, each of them, so 24 goals between for the whole line.
Yeah.
They're pretty much a one-line team so far, and as far as results based, anyway. And Philly's been kind of a dumpster fire defensively. The Avs have gotten some of the best goaltending in the league so far, while the Flyers have gotten the worst goaltending in the league. Although Florida might challenge them for that, but for the most part, yeah, I think people are going to want to target that top Colorado line for sure.
Yeah, they didn't pop a ton for me, but Philadelphia has given up a ton of high danger chances, so they are a line that makes sense. I guess they're just not a great value. It's kind of tough to fit them in unless you're dipping down to maybe the Flyers second line or Detroit's second line. I mean, you can make it work.
Yeah.
But maybe you're not going to get another full stack that you feel comfortable with because of their pricing. McKinnon up over 8K, so and then they priced up Landeskog and Rantanen finally. So interesting that they decided to do that on the road. But I don't know. Philadelphia 1 looks a little underpriced to me. They're a line that I'm probably going to have a lot of exposure to. Their numbers with Simmons without Voracek on that top line. They go down a little bit as far as being high event, but still another solid line and full power play correlation. So what do you think about the Philadelphia side, specifically that top line?
Yeah, they're pretty solid. I always kind of remembered that line with Simmons as not being as great defensively, but their numbers don't look too bad. Like you said, they are lower event in general. They do have positive expected goals outcome. The Avs, that Avs top line isn't a really pop for expected goals, but man, like they can score. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just talent winning out over in tight chances or something like that. But it's just something about them. They haven't been too bad defensively either so far this year. So I think that's perfectly fine to go with Philly. I mean, you still got the top power play correlation there, so that's pretty good. They're really cheap, so
yeah,
I think that's the most appealing part is their reasonable price.
Yep, I would agree with that. And then a line that I liked that's now changed a little bit since I wrote about them this morning. The second line for Colorado will avoid the Couturier line, which you like to see. And actually, we should probably just go over matchups here. We're going to see the Couturier line probably against McKinnon for the most part here. Is that what you have, Steve?
And then, just based on what they did on Saturday. They hard matched the two top lines.
Yeah.
And then 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, and so on.
Yep. So probably expect Couturier versus McKinnon. And then, I don't know, not a ton of matching below that, but I do like that second line for Colorado. The problem is they're 3 wingers on DK, as you can see, Andrew Ghetto, Kerfoot, and Colin Wilson, but super cheap. And now they don't all get power play time without Jost not on there anymore, but Andrew Ghetto's a guy that pops up for me as far as a guy that will shoot it a bit. So I would have him higher than Osmo does as a D value. I'd have him as like a B value or so, but the line in total I think is really cheap, and Philadelphia is still giving up a ton of chances. So what do you think about that call, Steve?
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that. The other line that's kind of popping for me as being a cheaper option is that Philly 3 on a shorter slate like that. Their possession numbers have been really good, and they've been scoring over the last little bit. So something that's interesting. They can go against the Colorado depth lines, which aren't as strong.
Yep.
Their even strength shot numbers are 65 shot attempts for and only 30 against past 4 games. So
yeah,
a line that I've been keeping my eye on.
Okay. Any sort of like cash plays that stick out to you
I think
just
the Philly top line's pretty cheap, so someone like Giroux would be interesting. He's been shooting the puck a lot more, and now with Simmons on his line instead of Voracek, he got it hurt his shot attempts last game or his shots on goal last game, but before that he was firing. He's had a couple games of 7 shots on goal, 8 shots on goal, 5 shots on goal. So I think Drew's slightly underpriced
I like it
at that rate.
Yeah,
I mean, and you can never go wrong with McKinnon as well.
yeah. I mean, if you can fit him in for 8K, or I don't know what he's on FanDuel, but
I wouldn't. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
Oh no, like he's a guy that I would try to jam in. Like
yeah.
Even if he's expensive, if you can afford it. All right, going down to defenseman in this game, Tyson Barrie probably correlates the best to Colorado, one because he is on that top power play. Other guys that I'm looking at on Colorado, maybe Eric Johnson for 4,300, more blocked shot equity for him. Also has him as an A value, so you like that. And then on Philadelphia's side, it's Gostisbehere and Provorov. I don't know. Are any of these punts in play on either side for you?
And for defenseman wise or anything, maybe Sanheim has maybe not for cash, but he has a bit of offensive upside. So maybe for GPPs, he's a decent punt there. Gudis maybe is interesting for his floor. It's not even that great. No, Eric Johnson would be my preferred cheap option there on defense, and I think Provorov as well. I think Ghost is a little bit overpriced because he got moved off that top pairing with Provorov, so he's not going to skate with the Giroux line at all, and that kind of hurts his value a little bit at even strength. He's still got the power play time there, but I wouldn't go there in something like cash. He's still in play for GPPs as part of a correlation with the power play, but that's pretty much all I would do there. I think Provorov is more interesting at 4,500.
Oh, that's a good point. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even notice that he was off that top pairing with Provorov.
Yeah, they just did it. They just made that change.
Yeah.
So it's pretty new. But I read an article about it. They have one of their puck moving defensemen on every line, and so they have Hag up with Provorov now. So that's a big bump for him. But his price is up on DK.
45.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's a bit high for what I'd like to pay for that for him. On FanDuel, let me just double check his price here. Trying to pull it up.
Here, let me do it.
He's
3,900
on FanDuel, so I think he's pretty cheap there. I don't mind that punt there on FanDuel.
Yeah, I like it. We're getting a question. McDonald should run versus top line of Avs. McDonald?
No, it's gonna be Hag. No, he's not even on the team.
Yeah, I don't see him in there. He's not on my screen right now.
There's not even in the lineup. I mean.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be Hag and Provorov against the top line.
Yeah.
Based on that's based on what they did last game, but it seems pretty obvious. Ghost hasn't been very good defensively, so they're not going to put him in that tough matchup.
All right. Goalies in this game, 4-gamer. I always say it, but I like to correlate here, especially if I'm running 3-3-2. So I will have some exposure to both of these guys. As you said, Philly has not had great goaltending, so they're giving up a lot of high danger chances. But Elliott is 7,300 and at home and a favorite, so he's probably going to see a fair amount of shots. I mean, he's the more appealing goalie, I guess. Even though Varlamov, I think, is a better goalie, so just a pricing thing there. But what do you see as far as goalies here?
I have a very hard time trusting Elliott. To be honest.
Agreed.
He hasn't been good. He hasn't been good this year. He is capable of getting hot. Like, he will get streaky at times throughout the year. So maybe it's starting now. But I find goalies are incredibly streaky. Varlamov's more the type that if he gets peppered with shots, he's likely to put up a good performance. So I'm much more interested in Varlamov than Elliott.
Got it. New to NHL DFS and missed the beginning of the video. What do you mean 3-3-2? Lineup construction wise. So 3-3-2 would be like you're running 3 forwards on the same line, and then you're running maybe 2 forwards on a different line with 1 correlated defenseman, and then another 2-man stack elsewhere. So that's just what I mean by 3-3-2. 4-3-1 is the most common, or maybe the best correlated lineup you can do on DraftKings. 4-4 on FanDuel. But yeah, that's what I meant by 3-3-2. So it's just a lineup construction thing. Like in baseball, like 5-2-1 is pretty common, or just 5-man solo stacks with 3 one-offs. So that's what it means. All right, let's go to Carolina and Detroit. 3.3 implied total for Carolina, 2.7 for Detroit at home. We've got Mrazek going up against Jimmy Howard. I mean, I don't think many people are going to be on the Detroit side here. It's understandable still with Darren Helm on the top line for Detroit. I do have some interest in the second Detroit line, but I think the major talking point here is the Carolina lines and which line specifically that you're on here. So, where are you at, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I really like Carolina here tonight. It's a good matchup for them. They should pepper Detroit with shots. They've been dominating even the best teams with that. They still, that second line is very strong possession-wise, but I don't know if they have the talent to really bang in a lot of goals. They will have their opportunities, though, so they're worth a look. I mean, the top line is really the most offensive upside.
Yep, for sure.
So, I think we've learned at this point in the season, they're scoring most of the goals. The second line's generating most of the shot attempts, but they're not really scoring a ton. So I would definitely prefer the top line if you're looking for GPPs and stuff like that. But I think the second line does have some value for something like cash games because they're cheaper and all that.
Yeah, Athanasiou.
Although Stall's pretty expensive though.
Are you talking about on Carolina side?
Yeah.
I was thinking Detroit again, but.
Sorry. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
No, Stall's pretty expensive there, so that's kind of tough. But looking at the wingers, I mean, Fogel's he's up till 5K, so yeah, they're not even as cheap as you'd like, but that line's good for just generating shot attempts, and I think really you want to focus on I think Teravainen at 5,600 is pretty nice.
Yeah, that was a guy that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Osmo does not agree, apparently.
No?
Yeah, he's got a D value there. I don't know, maybe it's just a typo, but he's not loving the Carolina top line. We don't have clear matchups in this game. I know at times Detroit used the Nielsen line to hard match against top lines last season, but Jeff Blashill is their coach, so you just never know what they're going to do. Would you expect Nielsen sees the most time against Aho, Furlan, Teravainen, or I don't know. I mean, I'm seriously asking you just as a friend here.
Yeah, no, he could. I mean, I'm not worried about that in any way because Athanasiou is not a defensive forward at all, and Bertuzzi's it's only his second year in the league, so I'm not particularly worried about any matchups here.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I would just the Nielsen line is the one that I kind of like for Detroit.
Yeah.
As a full stack, I like Athanasiou especially his offensive game, but defensively, they're going to be super, super leaky, I think, with those two wingers. But that Carolina line the top line has been playing super high event both ways. So
yep.
I was hoping maybe you could tell me that Nielsen was going to see mostly.
Yeah, it's hard to say because Detroit hasn't played a home game in a little while since they've come up with these new line combos. So I'm not certain there. I don't know. Like normally it would be Nielsen if he was with a couple other shutdown guys, then I could see it. Yep. But he's with the two younger guys, two younger offensive guys. So I don't think that's probably it's not going to be a hard match there.
Yeah. Okay. That Stahl line. I mean, they've been playing so well as far as the possession numbers go. 67.8% Corsi for percentage. That's kind of ridiculous, even at this point in the season.
Yeah.
So man, I like both of Carolina's top two lines, but they are priced up quite a bit. So I'm probably going to be lower on the field than both of them. Just looking at the numbers this morning, I didn't see either of them popping up a ton. Detroit was okay at slowing down the pace at home last season. So I don't know. I'm probably going to be lower on Carolina and allocate some of my ownership elsewhere. There's one spot that I like. There's a couple spots that I like a ton in the next two games. So I'll probably be higher on them.
One line that I want to look into a little bit deeper after the show, I guess, is the third line for Carolina. Their numbers have been pretty phenomenal, and they're super cheap.
Bishop, McGinn, and Zykov.
Walmark,
Oh.
Sveshnikov, and who's the other guy here?
Martinuk.
Martinuk. Yeah. Yeah, that line. If you look at their even strength numbers, they're pretty phenomenal here. It's 66 shot attempts, 4 for 60, 31 against. Their expected goals are through the roof. It's they're 4.5 expected goals per 60 minutes and only 1 against.
Okay, that's
and then you're going to be going against the sheltered Detroit lines, the sheltered depth lines most likely, which are weaker defensively. Anytime you get to play against Thomas Vanek, that's a massive plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think they are interesting if you need to save some money. So this is kind of a large field GPP type of play if you're playing multiple lineups. Wouldn't be a primary line for me.
No, that's a good point. Looking at Svechnikov, so he is he's listed on the power play. He took 6 shots on goal in his last game. He would be a guy that you look for in cash maybe? I mean, he is putting shots on goal and getting decent minutes, in the teens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's definitely viable. Okay. The shots are there, the floor is there, and he hasn't been scoring the last few games, but I like the opportunity. The minutes are going up a little bit.
Yeah. And then
3,700. That's pretty nice on DraftKings.
For sure. And then defenseman in this game, you've got Dougie Hamilton, who's the guy I would like to play. Osmo likes him, but Falk is listed on the top power play. So if you're onto that top line, it's kind of hard to get away from Falk just because he correlates well with Aho and Teravainen. But I mean, either one of those guys are fine. Hamilton probably going to be lower owned because he is on that second unit, though, which I like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then the Detroit side, Cholowski, is that the guy you mentioned a few weeks ago? He was like, he was like minimum salary, now up to 5,100.
Yeah, well, he should be priced a little higher based on his usage. It's insane. He leads the team in ice. Yeah, he leads the team in ice time.
Yeah.
So leads the team in ice time, first line power play unit. He's got multiple games over 4 shots on goal. Yeah, pretty much everything you want in a defenseman.
Yeah.
On a shitty team too, so they'll be peppered with shots. The blocks will go up today.
Yeah, I like it. So that was a pricing thing that stuck out to me, but
yeah,
I'm gonna bump him up. I think a little bit. Osmo obviously likes him as well. Man, Cronwall 2,900. He's listed.
He could be interesting for some blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. At that price.
Yeah.
What's his shot blocks? Yeah, he's blocking a couple shots a game, and you know that Carolina peppers the shot attempts, right? So you could get maybe 4 blocks out of him this game, and he'll get 2 points. And for 2,900, that's not too bad at all.
All right. Anything else in this game as far as skaters go, or any strong takes for goalie here? You got Howard at home for 6,800, who's going to get peppered with shots.
Yeah, that's very appealing from a GPP perspective there. Just based on Carolina's struggled to score goals at times. I mean, sometimes the volume's there. We're going to get the volume, but they've had a few games where they've made the GPP winning goalie this season. So I think Howard's definitely interesting.
Yeah, Carolina's the team. They had back-to-back nights of like 45 save shutouts against them last year, and I remember that one. That was a rough couple nights for me. I was all in on the Hurricanes. I think it was one of them was against the Islanders. I remember. So they're a team that sometimes they just can't finish, and it's not like a ton of their personnel has changed since the start of last season. All right.
And I'm not particularly big on Mrazek facing his old team on the road. His numbers haven't been great so far this year, and Carolina doesn't give up a ton of shots.
Yeah,
Mrazek's yet to face over 26 shots on goal in a game.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying that price for the win equity, but
yeah, you pretty much want you kind of need him to get a shutout.
Yeah,
and I don't even think the win's worth that much compared to the shot volume. I mean, I think that Howard in a loss could outscore Mrazek in a win very reasonably.
Yeah, if he gives up 2 goals and has 20 saves or whatever, and Mrazek sees 38 shots, or Howard sees 38 shots and lets in 3, they're basically at the same spot, right? So, all All right, let's go to St. Louis and Winnipeg. We have a 2.7 implied total for St. Louis, 3.2 for Winnipeg. Jake Allen, super cheap on DraftKings at 7K, going up against Connor Heltbuck, very expensive at 8,400. Two pretty powerful top lines on each side, and I don't know. Winnipeg one seems way underpriced to me again, so they're going to be a line I have a ton of exposure to. What do you think about Winnipeg one versus their likely matchup of the Shen, Tarasenko, Schwartz line for St. Louis?
Yeah, I like Winnipeg one for sure. They more higher shot rates, higher expected goals than the second line there for them. Pretty reasonable pricing there. Yeah, they're cheap, so I kind of like that at home. The first game of the season, these two teams played. St. Louis dominated possession there, but Hellebuck, I think, stood on his head and played really well. And the Jets managed to get 5 goals despite not generating a ton of offense. So kind of a tricky game to take anything out of. It kind of takes a bit of luck each way.
Winnipeg's won numbers, like their possession numbers are not great to start off the season.
So far this season, yeah. But if you look at their combined numbers over the past couple of years, they're pretty decent. Mm-hmm. Not bad, but they're.
And I believe they're
not phenomenal, but they're pretty good.
They're really dominant at home. Like the possession numbers are pretty nuts at home. So I'm a little worried about St. Louis one, but so that's the matchup you have for them first of all, right?
I think so. I'm gonna look a little closer to what they've been doing the last couple games. Yeah, it seems to be they're doing going against the top line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it worries me a little bit for St. Louis one, but man, they are so cheap too. Tarasenko comfortably under 7K. You've got Shen at 5,400, Schwartz 4,500. Like they just should never be that cheap when they're all together. So, like I'm gonna have some St. Louis one, but I don't really love their even strength matchup. But Winnipeg did commit one of the highest. They did have one of the highest penalty rates last season, so some opportunity on the power play. The problem is they're split up, as you can see on the screen. So it's a little bit frustrating.
That's kind of annoying there. But I do actually kind of like St. Louis one a bit more than Winnipeg one personally.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just their numbers. Their higher shot rates and all that. Higher expected goals.
Oh man, you're gonna make me
slightly
rethink
cheaper.
this.
I you know what? Realistically, I'll probably have an even amount of both, but I kind of like St. Louis on the discount of St. Louis on the road.
Okay. Let me try to run this again. I made some updates on my crunches, but that's interesting that you say that. So, any other lines that interest you here? Maybe some Winnipeg 2. They're probably not going to have a super hard match or anything, but maybe they see some of the Bozak line, probably some of the O'Reilly line. You like the second line for Winnipeg or any of these depth lines on either team?
The Bozak line had a pretty good game against the Tavares line last game, as far as possession wise and numbers and all that. But it's only been one game, so it's hard to take too much out of that.
Yeah,
makes it kind of tricky. I do kind of like St. Louis power play though. Their power play has been their best weapon so far. The problem is the correlation.
Right,
that's the biggest problem.
So would you just throw even strength lines out of it and just go, all right, power play one stack with O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Bozak, something like that? I don't know. Like how would you stack them up? I guess is my question.
I think the first line is fine to just do a full even strength stack, but you could also get a little creative, or maybe just play Tarasenko solo or Shen, Schwartz and Pietrangelo, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna
have to play around with St. Louis here, because I guess if I don't like them at even strength, like why am I playing them?
No, that's a great point. Yeah, if you're not. Yep.
So
good point.
Like why would I want to play a line that I don't love at even strength for their even strength correlation if they don't have a ton of power play correlation? So that's something I'm gonna have to mess around with after the show. Pietrangelo down at 4,600 on DraftKings is really intriguing to me.
That's too cheap for him.
Yeah.
Way too cheap for him.
So he would be a guy I would consider in cash on this game, even though I don't play much cash. But I told the chat I would talk about it a little bit more, kind of pick your brain.
Yeah, so normally he's up in around the mid fives to six range. So he's underpriced based on what he's done in the past. So I think he's definitely cash viable.
Dustin Byfuglien, 5,300, seems a little bit underpriced to me as well. But he is, according to the Osmo.com lineup builder, he is not listed on the top power play. I'm going to double check that right now. Do you see that?
Let's just see what they did last game. It was Morrissey on the top power play last game still.
Huh.
That's interesting.
So that's a little bit of a downgrade there.
Yeah, so that's good for Morrissey, though.
So Morrissey and Trouba, they're going to be the shutdown pairing.
Yeah, so they're So they have Morrissey has the most correlation with the top line Winnipeg. So if you want to play, that top Winnipeg line, Morrissey's the guy to pair with.
Yeah.
You can still do Trouba for even strength there, but it's nice to have Morrissey playing together even strength and on the power play.
Yeah, good chance. I mean, good assist equity if nothing else. If that line goes off.
Just from a stacking strategy perspective.
Yeah. All right, goalies here got the big pricing discrepancy. So if you're playing Allen, you can correlate Allen with St. Louis 1 if you want to go that route and just have a ton of salary left over. So that's probably the way I would do it if I'm looking to play Jake Allen. And then Hellebuyck.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. The correlation with Jake Allen. He's the kind of goalie that you never know what you're going to get with him. Good Jake or bad Jake is kind of the story with him.
Yeah.
You don't know, which guy you're going to get. So he's capable of standing on his head, but he's also capable of being completely blown up every game. So,
oh yeah,
he's a GPP only type forever.
I mean, he even sees the sports psychologist. I know he has in the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He gets in his own head sometimes, and that can be, he has streaks like in the playoffs a couple of years ago where he was just unconscious and just destroyed Minnesota. I remember. But man, he can go the other way just as likely. So you don't really know, but 7K is a price that I'm okay with in a really tough spot.
Yeah. I mean, this game in general is kind of tricky for me because it's probably the two most evenly matched quality teams. So, you could see a bit of a stalemate, but they also have so much offensive upside and talent.
Yeah, right.
So that makes it kind of tricky. You could see two kind of games. You could see a very tight, low-scoring, tight-checking affair with not much fantasy upside, or you could see just a back-and-forth shootout type. So,
if it's wide open, I mean, you've got two really, really good lines here. So I'm just, as you were saying, you got two good offenses here. You can stack both the top lines together, it looks like. You probably have to go with a really cheap defenseman here. So you got to put in Morrow.
The problem I'm having, probably the biggest problem is I'm having a tough time getting a read on ownership with these two lines.
I think ownership's tough today overall.
Yeah.
I mean, usually on the short slates, there is one spot or two spots that you're like, okay, this is the spot where everyone's going to gravitate towards. But looking at today, you've got Colorado 1, but they're super expensive. You got Philadelphia 1. They're probably going to be a top 3 or 4 on line. If you love to pick on Detroit. So the Aho Teravainen line is going to get some ownership. And then, I like Vancouver a ton, but the Capitals are going to be owned, Ovechkin especially, Ovechkin Kuznetsov. And then there's two really good lines in this game too, or maybe even 3 if you consider the Winnipeg second line a very good line. So I don't know, maybe it's just going to be more spread out, but do you think anybody goes over 25% on a 4-gamer?
Not from no one in this game should be over 25%.
Okay.
But in general, I think if the Caps were facing the Canucks, if the Caps were at home, you probably see the Ovechkin Kuznetsov being super high on again. They always seem to be playing on these short slates, right? And you have to decide, do I want to go Ovechkin or no Ovechkin? Yeah.
Do you want to fade the 50% Ovechkin? But so all right, let's move it on to the last game because you can actually do the St. Louis 1, Winnipeg 1 stack. So if this game is played at 5-on-4 a lot, that could be a really profitable strategy. All right, Capitals and the Vancouver Canucks. It looks like it's going to be Holtby. We don't know for sure just yet. Double checking right now. Yep, unconfirmed for Holtby against Anders Nilsson. There was some confusion about who was going to start between Nilsson and Markstrom, but it is indeed going to be Nilsson. He is 7,200 going up against Holtby, who's 8,200. I don't know. I think people are going to have interest in the Capitals, but my numbers really like the Vancouver side here, specifically the top line. I'm just jamming them in everywhere. So where are you at for this one, Steve?
No, I like that call as well. They have some pretty solid numbers at even strength over the last year, last 2 years, last 2 seasons. So I do like them a lot. I don't see them being super popular. But the Caps are pretty bad defensively as far as giving up shot attempts and scoring chances. So I think they're a good team to target.
Yeah. So the Ovi, Kuznetsov, and Devonta Smith-Pelly trio, which is pretty affordable with Smith-Pelly near minimum salary on DK, 46.3% Corsi for percentage, 27 scoring chances for, 11.5 high danger chances for per 60. So solid offensive numbers, nothing to complain about there, but their defensive numbers, 34.2 scoring chances against, 14.4 high danger chances against per 60. So man, they're just giving up a ton defensively. And then same with this Oshie, Backstrom, Stevenson trio as well. 43.7 Corsi for percentage. And they're giving up 25.5 scoring chances against per 60, 12.7 high danger chances against per 60. So I'm sure that translates into a lot of expected goals against. So I'm just attacking Washington here. They may be the defending champs, but they've been brutal defensively, especially in their first couple road games. Like worst numbers on the road by far this season in all of the categories that I just mentioned on a team level. So I love Vancouver.
They were like that a lot last year too, before the playoffs, and that's why I had them going out first round. But
they just like
something clicked. They just I don't know what it was.
Right? Yeah.
They just wanted it more than anybody else. I don't even know.
It's crazy. It wasn't like they were just getting lucky either. They were just dominant in the playoffs. It was the weirdest thing. So I don't know what happened with them, but they seem to have gone back to their regular season 2017-18 rather than continued the playoff run. I mean, are you on the Washington side here? I understand why people want to be on Washington here, and it would be the Ovechkin-Kuznetsov pairing with Karlsson, but that is super expensive.
Yeah, that's pretty pricey. I do like them. They're not my favorite line on the night, though. So
yeah, I mean, I know Vancouver's giving up a ton of chances as well, so I like attacking them, but Washington on the road here, people may see the 3.2 total. You're going to see Sutter, Eriksson, and Roussel. Hard match against Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, Smith-Pelly.
Yeah.
And that line isn't bad defensively. They're good at slowing it down. Sutter has been good, I guess, slowing it down.
Yeah, they played a pretty low event style, right? So it kind of limits the upside for Ovechkin and Kuznetsov. I think the main appeal would be the Washington power play.
Yeah.
Because Vancouver does take a lot of penalties. The thing is, they've been good at killing them, but they still give a lot of opportunities. And one thing I saw was the Caps power play has been pretty phenomenal so far this year, but they're 10 for 20 at home, 50%, and they're 0 for 6 on the road. So I don't know what you can take from that, but maybe it's just maybe they don't get they don't draw as many penalties on the road or something.
No, that could be it. I mean, more penalties are called against the road team than the home team, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you like the top line for Vancouver. Is there anywhere else we can go on this team, going down to like Gaudette, Virtanen, and Berchi, or even anyone on that third line that's going to see quite a few minutes at even strength against a bad defensive unit in Kuznetsov, Ovechkin?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could score, but Vancouver's not exactly a high event offense. So I think, if anything, they probably just limit some of the upside of the Caps more than generating offense. I think the top line's really the only one that has multi-goal potential. I could be wrong there. Maybe we see a random Sutter hat trick or something, but
Yeah, that was the line I was maybe gonna consider, but I don't know. I mean, Sutter, Roussel, and Erickson. The problem is just none of them are on the power play, so they really have to get it done at even strength. Like you said, they're not a really high event style. They're not a lot of offensive talent there. Gaudette, Virtanen, Baertschi, they're super cheap. So just as a pivot away from the top line, if you think they're going to be chalky, that's fine as a filler stack if you're going to a Colorado 1 or something like that, where you need to dig down into the 3K range. All right, defenseman here, mentioned Carlson, but the other guy I really like is Edler for Vancouver side. Obviously got the correlation with Horvat and Besser, but block shots here could be a big boost for him. So 5,600, absolutely love that. Any other noteworthy defenseman here?
Not really. Mostly just Edler and Carlson, but 7K for Carlson's quite a lot. Yeah. He's been worth it so far this year.
7K for, I mean, we don't think Washington's going to dominate at even strength, right? So it's really 7K for
power
maybe
play.
He gets power play. Maybe they get there via the power play. But yeah, I don't know. Talking to you more now, I'm kind of cemented in that I don't really love Washington tonight at all. So I hope they're highly owned. I think that'll be a win, regardless of the result.
Yep. I heard some talk about that Washington third line.
Oh, Eller, Verana, and Connolly.
Yeah, they had a pretty good game last time against the Panthers, but I think mostly they scored against the fourth line, the Brouwer line. So.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't really do it for me.
Yeah.
I guess Verana and Eller have power play 2 correlation, but it's not like you're getting them for free either. So.
No, I mean Verana in general, he pops in the shot attempts.
Yep.
Column. He doesn't actually hit the net all that much, but the shot attempts are there. Right. So I think he's somewhat interesting, but I can't see. I mean, Besser's only 300 more.
Yeah.
Besser.
Yeah. So Besser, I was talking to someone in chat. I can't remember who it was, but if I'm playing cash, he'd be a guy that I'd want to start my lineup with, kind of thing. Just because I think the shot floor is so safe there, and he's 5,200. He doesn't get a ton of high danger chances, but that line as a whole, I think, has a pretty good chance too. So I really like the spot for Besser and Horvat especially. But I'm not leaving off Goldobin intentionally for 3,300 either.
No, yeah, 3,300, and normally Horvat and Besser, they don't pop in the shot attempts column that much, but with Goldobin last season, their numbers were increased there, so I think he definitely helps them from a fantasy standpoint.
Yep.
As far as shot generation goes, the other guys dirt cheap there is Smith Pelly at 3K. He was priced as if he was still getting 7 minutes a game, so I think with his minutes going up and a premier setup guy like Kuznetsov, I think that's a pretty good spot for him too.
Right. Doesn't need much to really get you there. So
so those two are interesting as cheap options there.
Yeah. I see Osmo has him as a B value. Do you know off the top of your head how much Smith Pelly's minutes jumped last year when he moved up? I can't remember. Was he getting 12 minutes? Was he getting 14, 15 type of thing?
I think he's in the low teens.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
like that.
I'm pretty comfortable with that then.
Yeah.
Getting 3K, you don't need a ton. So
it probably depends how many power penalties the Canucks are going to take, or how many penalties are in this game. Period.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of special teams this game, he's not going to see the ice that much. But if it's 5-on-5, then yeah, he's good.
Goalies here, Holtby 8,200. I don't really like him at all. He'll probably be maybe my lowest exposed goalie tonight out of the 8 in play.
Nilsson's tough because of the shot volume, right? You don't expect Vancouver to generate a ton of volume. It's more quality chances that they're going to get or anything. So.
Yep. Nilsson, I know you don't like playing guys against the Caps, but Nilsson
7,200 at home and in a spot where we're kind of on Vancouver. Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right.
He's weren't you saying something about him having a reputation for being a really good road goalie?
Yeah.
So he hasn't played at home so far this year. I wonder. I mean, you can't really. It's hard to actually base serious decisions off of smaller samples like that, but it is something to keep in mind. I think hockey players more than anything are super in their own heads, very superstitious and stuff like that. They just play better in certain situations.
Yeah. Corsi, if you're in chat, do you know off the top of your head about the Nilsson thing on the road? I know it's been a thing. I'm pretty sure it's been Nilsson, and then Marsham's been way better at home.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just noise or what happened. But
I'll try to noise. But I mean, that's the only thing I'm a little hesitant for. But I mean, he's shown that he can stand on his head.
Yeah. All right, that's pretty much about it. We have to get out pretty soon, but we can maybe play around with a few different lineups. Anything you want to see here? We've got an NBA show coming up in 10 minutes.
Let's see what we can do with Colorado 1. That's going to be kind of tough to fit, right?
All right.
The tougher one to fit.
Colorado 1. All right, let's put in Rantanen. So we got McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen. Maybe we try to put in Tyson Barrie. Now we've got 47.40 left on average.
By the way, looking at the pricing here, Rantanen 6,400. I think he's a good way to get exposure in cash for that line.
Cool. Let's see. Can you do it on defense? Or I guess can you do it with? So you've got.
How about that Vancouver top line?
Yeah, that. We're on the same wavelength today. That's who I put in. So you'll see it on a delay here.
Okay, right on. Yeah.
And maybe have to put in Anders Nilsson. We can do it with Tyson Barrie. Vancouver.
Can you fit Varlamov or no?
Let's see.
72. Yeah, no, not easily. I think Nelson fits better there.
So you can fit Varlamov, 2,700 left. They're actually looking at what we have right now. There are a few guys in the 25, 26, 27 range. So
yeah,
it's not, it's doable if you want to go there. Keep in mind, this will be a pretty popular stack, at least the three forwards with the three forwards. So, I don't know, I would try to get different somehow, maybe not correlating your defenseman or something.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're playing a large field tournament, just because this is going to be a pretty popular construction when people do go to Colorado 1 because it just fits so nicely, and optimizers are going to spit this out pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do it. What else? Anything else you want to see Colorado 1 with someone or?
How about maybe Philly or the Winnipeg or St. Louis, somewhere in there?
Yeah, let's see if we can do Philadelphia 1 with either of those two lines in the St. Louis Winnipeg game. Probably could do it with Schwartz, Shen, Tarasenko. 5,200 left per person. Oh yeah, you could easily do this.
Nice.
So you've got Philadelphia 1.
Probably like Petrangelo. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Petrangelo.
Yeah, it's so you put in Jake Allen. You've got 4,200 left. Dude, this pricing that DK has going on here. It's one thing to have top heavy tournaments, but I think it takes some of the skill out of it when you've got this Charmin ultra soft pricing too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just like if you know how to stack in Fantasy Cruncher or whatever, you can make a ton of really good lineups without having to really think much. So that's a little frustrating, but
yeah.
So
definitely prefer tougher pricing.
Yeah. So you can do that. I don't know. It's not going to be that difficult to make lineups today, I don't think. I don't know. I'm probably going to be rolling out the Bouwmeester at 2,600 on D. I'm probably going to be rolling out 3-3-2s again. That seemed to work on the last 4-game slate for me. So I'm going to ride that again, try to get some different lineup constructions while still playing the chalk or whatever.
I think that's really important. You can play more popular guys if you change your roster construction.
Yeah. That's obviously our buddy Manny Laura always talks about that. So go check out his Twitch stream. It's a little plug for him. Anything else on this slate? I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to me with the soft pricing and all.
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you don't really have too much to add to it. It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All right, guys. Promo code Hit the Ice. You get a free 7-day trial to any Osmo.com non-fantasy cruncher NHL package. So 7 days of Osmo's rankings, my projections. You have Fantasy Cruncher available for add-on. You get the lineup builder, so you can play around with that for a week. And then you can join for the full year for a month, get access to the Slack chat. It's a really great time in there. A lot of useful information being traded off. Yeah, good luck on this slate, guys. Steve, anything else?
Not too much. Just good luck, guys. Hopefully someone takes something down tonight.
Yeah. See you guys at the top.
Cheers.